I'm starting today with the severe supercell outlook here for the next 7 days. This is a composite, so pixel by pixel, they just add up the probabilities over at NIU and give you these areas here of higher probability, which are the darker red. You can see there's still this corridor here of thunderstorm development with a special emphasis on, let's say, the Corn Belt, the Mississippi and mid Missouri River valleys, out off into the central and northern plains. Still a pretty hot commodity there, especially over the next couple of days. So again, that's the one thing. This does show you a general pattern, but it's for 7 days. I don't think this should be interpreted as this is 7 days of continuous severe weather. This is just kind of a gives you a rough idea. Now these next maps kind of break it down a little bit for you. So today we have three interesting little areas of slight risk, level 2, and one over southern Wisconsin up into Iowa, another one from western Missouri back into Kansas, and another one kind of centered on the intersection of Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. And we have some marginal risk of severe weather down here in Mississippi and Alabama as well. We'll zoom in on this here. And there's some interesting differences here. I should point out right away that this area here is expected to be later on tonight. There are some ongoing thunderstorms here, but especially this part of the outlook is really going to be overnight. And I'll show you some radar simulations here in a minute. And we also have that level 2, like I said, here's some more details. Colby, Kansas, and North Platte in that. Milwaukee and Madison are in this outlook here up to the north. And here's how the severe weather type breaks down. I'm showing you these two first, then I'll show you the tornado because I'm going to zoom in on that one. There is a severe wind risk, any wind greater than 58 miles per hour. It is classified officially as a severe wind gust. So that is basically these yellow areas have a 15% chance of that happening. And then occasionally the SPC will actually delineate some skill here in regarding exactly how intense that wind will be. So it's not enough just to say you're going to have a 59 mile per hour or greater wind gust and then drop it. And that could cover a lot of ground, right? So that's what the SPC is doing here, giving you some probability of some of the more damaging aspects. And of course, when you start getting up here to hurricane force, that's what we're really worried about. So this is the lowest level of intensity probabilities. It doesn't mean you can't get one this strong or even this strong, but it's highly probable it'll be in this zone right here. That's how you interpret those when you see them. Same with the hail, if you just want to read those percentages. But it's in these same three areas. If there's a little bit of an enhanced hail risk, it'll be with the northern zone and a little bit of that central and also the western zone, a little bit more enhanced risk of severe hail, maybe ranking up to 1.5 inches, maybe on the really on the outside chance, maybe a 2-inch hailstone. Now, the tornado risk, I'll zoom in on that. It does include Kansas City. So it's this thunderstorm activity that's going on here now that's kind of going in down that thunderstorm slide. The greatest risk for tornadoes will be early on here, I think, through Tuesday evening. And then this whole thunderstorm cluster will continue to move out of this area and over into Missouri. And I'll show you that in a minute here. I did want to show you that NATOcast only paints a tornado picture up around the Wisconsin-Illinois border area. There does include Chicago and Milwaukee. And remember, the tornado risk from the SPC was not there, but there was a slight risk of severe weather right in that area there. So I just wanted to point that out. The severe wind gust is a 15%, I'm sorry, from the NATOcast wind risk side of things. And it does include that corridor again of Missouri that is really in the slight risk and even a little bit outside of the slight risk for later on tonight. One last thing we'll look at here is CSU's outlook. It does not get too excited about the wind risks here, but does kind of interestingly put a kind of an east-west area there through the deep south from Louisiana on over to around Augusta, Georgia. I find that interesting. This is the HRRR simulated radar for 2 a.m. tonight, so it does show this active thunderstorm cluster. So again, this is what's going to produce that severe wind threat that kind of shifts in this direction as the overnight hours continue. And it's these storms that when they were back here had that tornado risk initially associated with them, if that's clear. And then we just move the whole thing now to Wednesday. We have a slight risk, which was expanded westward here in the late afternoon, around the noon analysis of this, with a large marginal risk surrounding that. But we'll zoom in on what this is looking like here on Wednesday, a level 2, which would include where I'm broadcasting from, Springfield, and technically would include Joplin too. And Rolla would be included, Branson, the Mountain Home Harrison area on over to Poplar Bluff, Cape Girardeau would be included, all these areas off to the west, almost getting to Clarksville, Tennessee. The tornado risk is going to be confined to the area once the thunderstorms get going. So it doesn't technically include Springfield, but the 2% risk does include everything east of there in that slight risk area. The wind risk is just about where the slight risk area is. In fact, it probably is a mirror image. And the hail risk, and when I start doing these videos, I decided if the hail doesn't rank to at least 15%, I probably won't show it. Same with the wind. And this time of year, it's going to be mostly wind. Unless you're close to the Rockies or in the northern plains where the upper level temperatures might be cold enough to support some hail. The NATOcast for tomorrow does paint the boot heel pretty predominantly, and they have it at a 3% risk there. So again, a kind of a reflection. If you look at this light gray 1% here, that's actually the more closer to the outline of what the SPC did. I did want to show you the severe wind risk for, actually I've got these reversed. I apologize, but I do still want to show this. I should have put this with yesterday because this is supposed to happen overnight tonight, 3 to 4 o'clock a.m. So it is technically Wednesday, but it belongs kind of in today's discussion. Sorry about that, but there's Rolla right there. I know we have viewers up there, and I just wanted to make that clear. Here's Lebanon right here. So we have this kind of broad 30% risk in green of severe wind gusts. So again, that's associated with tonight's line of storms. It's not what I was just talking about. I had moved on. So anyway, I did want to show you that because I thought it was pretty significant. It's an overnight wind event, certainly, from Kansas City straight down through to the boot heel, I think. Now we're going back to Wednesday and showing that there's not much of a tornado risk, but the bullseye of it is interestingly near the southeast Missouri area. No real mention of significant hail, and the wind damages once this thing gets kicked in. So let's show you a radar simulation for 5 p.m. on Wednesday. And so all the overnight activity has long since cleared out. And then this is, you can see there's a boundary right here, and this is where the last of the unstable air is, and this is where some supercells may develop. This is 5 p.m., and if I were to loop this, it would show a continuation of this activity kind of moving in this direction, just so you know. And on Thursday, we have this marginal risk up here back into Minnesota, in Nebraska, and a little bit there in the coastal areas from New Jersey, down into North Carolina. Did want to show you Thursday's CSU outlook. They do emphasize a wind risk up there in North Carolina and South Carolina. That does get up to a 30% probability. Hail and tornado, pretty much a no-show. On Friday, this activity still kind of continues a little bit as the frontal zone kind of stretches out. Just again, so you know what's possible out of the SPC, give you kind of an idea where they might highlight areas in the future. If they did pull the trigger, it would appear over here. It does not yet. And interestingly, this doesn't mean much, but I've noticed this blob again is a continuation. It was there yesterday and it's moving this way. It's not a very high probability, but I'll bet you that later this week we'll be watching that a little more carefully from the Dakotas down into Iowa. Finally, we'll show you week 2 of this supercell composite that we started this with. It does calm down the percentages quite a bit, but it does show still that kind of a thunderstorm slide pattern. But there is cooler, drier air on all of the models. Pretty much in agreement that this area here from Minnesota into the northeast is really going to stabilize and become quite nice. Not hot, very unsummer-like. That just pushed this boundary. It's been around for weeks down a little bit more to the south and west. And then it really quiets down week 3 finally. This is the 1st of September through the 7th of September, and the supercell composite pretty low.